Habt ihr Angst vor dem Vorstellungsgespräch auf Englisch? Kein Problem. Watch the video until the end and I will give you a tip what you can do on the morning of your interview or before your interview. But now, look at this. Talking about your education and training in a job interview, these sentences have 5 typical mistakes that German speakers make in an interview or when talking about their education or their training. So read the sentences and see, can you see 5 mistakes? I learned economics at the university. I made a training as programmer. Okay, in the first sentence there are 2 mistakes, and in the second sentence there are 3 mistakes. So let's start with the first one. I learned economics at the university. When you talk about at school and at university, you would say studied. I studied economics. So you'd say I studied economics, or I studied languages, or I studied business administration, I studied computer science at university. So that is not necessary. To talk about a specific university, you might say at the university down the road, or at the university near here, or in this city, or in this town. But when you talk about your education, it's enough to say at university, at school, at university. So know them. Another thing here is very typical when you talk about a university education. At the end, after 4 years or 5 years, you get a degree. So another way to say this is, I have a degree in economics. You can say I have a degree in economics, or I have a degree in languages, and if you want to say what university, you can say from the University of London, or from Humboldt University. So it's a degree in, and then the subject. In the second sentence, I made a training as programmer. So as I said, there are 3 mistakes here. First of all, you don't make training, you do training. So you would say, I did a training. The second mistake is that training is uncountable. So you cannot say a training. What you can say is a training course. So I did a training course. And then before jobs, you normally say a or an. So here it would be a training as a programmer. You can also say here, you can use this as a verb. You can say I trained as a programmer. So they are the 5 mistakes. Just a quick note about this word here, learn. You can say learn how to do something if you're talking about a skill. So not for your university education, but for a specific skill. So you could say, I learned how to drive last year, or I learned how to use Excel in my last job. So I learned how to use Excel in my last job. So if we're talking about skills, it is typical to say learned how to, and then an infinitive. So that tip I was telling you about at the start of the video is on the morning of the interview, or just before you go into the interview, it's very important to warm up. So don't start speaking English the moment you walk into the room. The morning of the interview, in front of a mirror, just practice some of your sentences. So for example, I have a degree in economics, I learned how to use Excel in my first job, I trained as a programmer, or I did a training course as a programmer. Just say the sentences in front of a mirror. And before you go into the interview, go to the bathroom. If there's a mirror there, just practice saying a few of the sentences out loud, or say them in your head, so you can feel warmed up before you go into the interview. Good luck in your interview. Thanks for watching the video, and I will see you soon. If you want to see more video tips like this, just click on these videos here. Here are some examples before I tell you the explanation. Have a look at them and see, can you tell me the differences in the meaning of these words? So, mayor or mayor. So here we have 6 business English abbreviations, quite typical ones. Which of those do you understand? And in these 5 sentences, you have one mistake in every sentence.